What's up, world? This is your guy, Guitar K, and today we're going to be talking about principles before personalities. Principles are like rules. They're laws, universal rules and regulations. Things that's clear cut across the board. There's certain boundaries, they're cornerstones, things that you don't move. They keep things operating smoothly. Now look. I'm pretty sure anybody ever worked somewhere, if a manager not always running off the same principle every day, no. So when the big people coming around, now they scrambling, looking crazy, running around like a chicken with the head cut off, talking about, I need you to clean that up, where the paperwork at, do this, do that. See, when you're running off a principle all the time, that's why they say when you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. When you're running off of principles every day, you stay ready. You're always ready. You're not out of pocket. You're always operating the way you're supposed to operate. That way your backside is always covered. When you do right, you ain't got nothing to worry about, man. Look, as long as you follow that way, you have nothing to fear. Look, man, follow the principles. Don't put personalities before principles. Now, growing up in the hood, we tend to, if I like you, you my homeboy, or she kind of pretty, I like her body. Sometimes we'll give people passes to do certain things and act out of pocket based off of that we know them, or they look like us, or they talk like us. But that type of behavior will have you missing out on opportunities. It will have you losing jobs, losing money, have you going to prison, have you looking crazy. But if you always do the right thing, if you always just follow the principles, man, stick to the rules, play the game the way it's supposed to be played, like I said, you have nothing to fear. Let me give you a real life example, as I like to do. Look, I used to work at McDonald's. I worked in the cash register line. And I'm pretty sure people are going to be able to relate to this. Now, you work in the register, you ringing up orders, and you see somebody get in your line. Here we go. He going to be like, yo, what's up, son? Can you put a couple extra burgers in there? Come on, man, hook a brother up. Look, man, I'm trying to keep my job. I'm not trying to lose my job over giving you a couple extra burgers, man. But look, I ain't going to lie. Did I ever do it? I did. But this is a stark example of what I'm trying to say, man. I had to let that type of thinking go. I got in trouble over doing it before. A real friend is not going to have you jeopardize your livelihood, jeopardize your job to benefit them. Now, what I did learn to do, I started putting in word to my manager to give my friends a job. So eventually, damn near my whole neighborhood, we all worked at McDonald's together. So I didn't really have to worry about too many of my friends being on that side of the counter because they was all on that side of the counter with me. And when they did come on that side of the counter, they had employee discounts anyway. So it is ways that you can still help out. See, the goal is to learn how to bring your people up by still following the rules, by still respecting the principles, man. Respect these universal laws. Don't be a cheat. Don't be a dirty player. Look, man, it's like if you're playing football, you can be a big personality. You can have your own celebrations. You can have your own style of play, but you got to follow the rules. When you're on the field, you got to stay in bounds. You got to keep the game the way the game is supposed to be played. Now, sometimes do people get away with some cheating and some dirty things? Yeah. And you can keep playing that way. But look, have we ever seen it? It could be the game on the line and you finally been cheating all game. But here's the ref and seen this one time and you done ruined the whole game. Again, like I said, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Look, if you play the game the way it's supposed to be played all the time, you ain't going to have to worry about that ref blowing that whistle and getting you up out of the game. And that's just a game. When we talking about the real life, look, man, you ain't got to worry about Po coming, putting you in them cuffs because you didn't decide to do something backhanded. You ain't got to worry about the IRS coming and taking all your stuff because you've been trying to cheat. You ain't been trying to pay your taxes. Look, man, know what you signed up for. Read the fine print. So many times we sign stuff and don't read the whole contract. And then when something come back and fall back on us, we act like they trying to get over on us. No, it's not that they trying to get over on us. You didn't read everything that you were supposed to read. Like I said, man, know what you're getting yourself into. Always keep it at a principle level, man. It's about principles. It's about the rules. It's about the regulations. It's about knowing the game and playing the game according to how it's supposed to be played. Look, man, you don't want to be a dirty player. You don't want to be a cheat. I know some people that's happy to win a game knowing that they cheated. It could be something BS, something like spades or something. I hate playing games with people that cheat at the end of the day. And how can you live with yourself? Why would you want to cheat? The game is meant to be played a certain way. Build your skills up. Get good at the game. Be good enough to play without cheating, man. Look, it's universal laws out here. It's road signs out here. Let's just use the example of driving. Now, you can be a good driver, but if you're not following the traffic signs and the traffic laws, you're not a good driver. And eventually, you're going to cause an accident. You're going to get a bunch of tickets, and then you're going to get your license taken. Your insurance going to be sky high. You got to learn to follow the rules. If you're not good at following the rules, you're not good at what you're doing. That's just, I don't know how much better to put that, man. Keep the principles before the personalities. And we can't go by if we like the person. Like if I know that you're not a good driver, I don't care how much I like you. I don't care how good you look. I don't care how close of friends we are. If you're not good at something, I'm not going to trust you to do the job. I'm not going to trust you to be on my team. That's another thing that we used to do back in the day. Now, I know that my homeboy is not good at certain things, and I know that he's not up to the task, but here we go. He my homeboy. We didn't grew up together. I'm giving him a chance. Same thing with me. I'm expecting my people today that I surround myself with to hold me to a certain standard, to keep me accountable. I don't want to be surrounded by yes men. I want to be surrounded by other people that's keeping principles before personalities. That's the only way that we're going to ever achieve anything great. I'm in recovery today, so that's why I'm big on principles, because that's the only way that I'm going to stay clean and sober, is if I'm surrounded by people that's running off of principles. Because back when I was running off of ripping and running in addiction, I was surrounded by other people that was ripping, running in addiction, and they was just co-signing all my BS. They made it seem like it was good for me to lie, good for me to steal, good for me to cheat, because as long as they was benefiting off of all of that, they didn't care. But as soon as the bottom fell out and I went to jail or prison or anything like that, there was nowhere to be found. And then they might even talk bad about you, like, yeah, I knew eventually he was going to get locked up, all that crazy stuff he was doing. No longer, man. Today, I put principles before personalities. I can love you and I can like you, but if you're not living off of principles, I'm going to have to love and like you from a distance. And look, we can't be up out here making our own rules. The world has some certain set of rules and boundaries. Now, do these things change? Yes. Can they be fought and changed the right way? Yes. But what I'm saying is, don't be out here ripping and running and freestyling and trying to make up your own rules on the fly. You remember we used to play certain board games and we had certain house rules that we would play and we would do it the way we wanted to do it, man. We can't translate that thing over to life. You know how we used to play a Monopoly. And sometimes we had to go to that rule book. We're like, no, pull out that rule book. I want to see that rule in the book. Because that's how the world is, man. And you know, they say that ignorance is not going to get you out of it. You can't be out here doing something crazy and then you get in front of that judge talking about, sorry, Your Honor, I didn't know. Well, he's going to be like, well, look, you know now, and you're still going to pay that penalty, or you're still going to do that time, or whatever it is. That's why it's important to know the laws. It's important to know the rules and regulations so you can play the game that is supposed to be played. Look, man, principles before personalities. Because we can go off our emotions and how we feel and think that somebody wronged us and, oh, they shouldn't have did me like that. When the whole time, that's just how it's done. Did you read what you was getting into? Did you know what you was getting into? You went off of a decision made off of a feeling, made off of that you like this person or they looked like they knew that they was talking about? No, you have to know what's going on. And the only way to really know, to have something in concrete, is to go by the principles. You know, you might have to get somebody else to read over the contract if you don't know what you're signing up for. Keep it at a principle level, not over personalities. You can't just trust somebody just because they talk right or just because they look nice. No, man. What is the real deal? And the only way you get to the real deal is to keep it at a principle level. I'm telling you, principles before personalities, man. That keeps out of a lot of, you know, opinions and disagreements and conflicts. That's how principles keep it at an even playing field. What does the rule book say? That's why they got the referees out there on the field. That's why they got instant replay. Look, I love the Ravens. And you know, Ray Lewis was my favorite player of all time. And let's say if it could have been one of the biggest plays in Ravens history. But if they replay it and they show it on replay and he did something that broke the rules, I cannot be mad if they call it back. Because that is the rules of the game. That's how the game is played. You got to play within the rules, man. You got to do the right thing all the time, 24/7. You stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. When you put principles over personalities, you're ready. That's when you know you're ready. That's when you know you're hitting on all cylinders, man. We operate off of principles today. Spiritual principles is the biggest thing that'll get you where you need to go, man. I'm talking about honesty, open-mindedness, willingness, patience, kindness, the things that most of us don't like to do. But I'm telling you, when you put those things in your heart, it will get you all the things that your heart desires. It'll put you in places that you never thought you would be, man. Look, the Bible says that a man's gifts and talents will open doors for him. And I'm telling you, principles, spiritual principles is a gift. When you can practice those things in all your affairs, you will be considered a gifted person. You will be a rare person. You will be a gem because it's hard to do. It's hard to practice spiritual principles all day, every day. But when you master that, I'm telling you, man, you will become a great person. You will be a great communicator. You will be a great employee. You will be a great person, period. Once you learn to practice spiritual principles and keep that over personality. It's not about what you like. It's about what's right. This is your guy, Guitar K. Be more